This beautiful black beast is the 2016 Cadillac CTS-V. At 640 horsepower, it's the most powerful car that Cadillac has ever built. And quite frankly, well, it kind of scares the pants off of me. I'll fire it up for you and you'll find out why. Under the hood is a 6.2-liter V8 engine. It's supercharged. That's the same engine that you'll find under the hood of the Corvette Z06. It outputs 640 horsepower and 630 pound-feet of torque. And it goes from 0 to 60 in about this long. And there we are. The car accelerates so fast that the digital instrument cluster and head-up display can't really even keep up with the speed. You see it jumping from 46 to 52 miles per hour. It's hilarious. In the first generation CTS-V, it was pretty much as simple as slapping a big old engine into the biggest Cadillac and hanging on to your hats. But these days, this third generation model takes a much more extensive approach to performance. Take, for example, the suspension bushings, all of those mushy bits of rubber between the moving parts of the suspension. Those have all been removed from the CTS and in the V replaced with solid ball joints. That's going to make the chassis about 20% stiffer than the previous generation and allow the magnetic ride control standard on this vehicle and also in its third generation to be that much sharper and precise in its movements. We've also got significant changes made to the body to allow this car to be more aerodynamic, to help it breathe better. We've got coolers for differentials and for the transmission, and of course for the big meaty engine. There's also a standard carbon fiber hood. That's a real carbon fiber hood up there. If you pop it, you can see the weave on the bottom. And that's going to help reduce weight and keep this thing as light as it can possibly be. Well, pretty light for a 4,100 pound beast of a machine. So pretty much every part of the CTS's performance has been massaged to make this thing go and look just a whole lot faster. With so much power on tap, it's a little amazing how easy it is to drive this car around on a day-to-day basis. It actually is pretty easy to drive and remarkably comfortable, thanks magnetic ride control. But what's scary about this car is that 640 horsepower is always just lurking underneath the surface. And in an instant, you can go from cruising to full-on accelerating. And I'm talking about really serious acceleration. If you're not careful, you'll be in the triple digits before you know it. And that's kind of got me wondering, what happens if I accidentally sneeze? Now, it's nice out now, but my first time behind the wheel of the CTS-V was on a rainy day. And with 630 pound-feet of torque just screaming to get out, this car can feel a little bit squirrely. I actually spent the first 2 days in the snow traction control program because I was a little bit terrified that it would get away from me. But on a nice dry road, this car is remarkably well composed and easy to live with, even with that much power on tap. It's scary in the way that a roller coaster is, and that you feel like you're going to die at any moment, and so you just sort of start giggling, but you know that there's a little bit of safety there and that you're pretty much going to be all right at the end of the ride. And this car is pretty quiet and well composed. It's easy to live with. The cab is actually a pretty nice place to be. We've got some really well put together materials here, including some perforated leather. There's Alcantara all around, and a weird sort of faux carbon fiber metallic material that in some lights looks kind of chintzy, but in direct sunlight actually looks really cool. It's got a nice metallic luster to it. What I'm not really a fan of is this big chunk of glossy plastic here. I mean, I get why they did it because they've got these capacitive surfaces, but it's sort of a fingerprint magnet, and that makes it a bit of an eyesore under most situations. At the top, we've got Cadillac's Q digital media system, which is reasonably well laid out. We've seen it in other Cadillac vehicles, and there's nothing really new here. It's got Apple CarPlay connectivity. Android Auto is coming later on this year. And we've also got a pretty nice sounding Bose stereo system, but the real music is, of course, coming from out back. So I haven't spent a whole lot of time listening to it. But the sort of ever-present rumble of the V8 engine and the rate at which this thing sucks down gasoline sort of lets you know that this is more of a track car that you can drive on the street and not the other way around. That sort of converts to the way that the competition sort of handles it. The BMW M5, the Mercedes E-AMG, those both seem like really good street cars that you can drive on the track. And it's sort of interesting that Cadillac's sort of taken an all-out stance on performance here, when it's a brand known for all-out luxury. Starting at around $89,000 and going up from there, the CTS-V is sort of a uniquely American take on the super sport sedan, and a bit of a thumbing of the nose at the established competition from Germany. It's not the perfect car for everyone. It's a little bit terrifying, but if you're the kind of person who likes a little bit of thrill in your commute, it might be the car for you.